3,
2,
1.
1. Bars. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Thick and Butter podcast. My name is Thick,
And my name is Butter. Is this how...
aka Alex. So I did it completely wrong.
And my AKA pseudonym is Jesse. I'm Butter by
real
day
name-
and
my real
Jesse
name is
by
Thick.
night.
Welcome to episode 76.
Wow.
76. Every episode.
Wow.
Wow, that's a high number.
That's so big. It's older than I am. A lot.
Yeah, 76. Wow. Wowzers. Woo. Almost to 80.
It's not easy to count our episodes anymore. You can't count them on more. You need a lot of hands.
A lot of fingers.
A lot of hands.
76 of them to be exact.
76 fingies. Would you know how many? That's
what?
What is 5 divided by 75? Do you know off the top of your head?
Whoa.
Wait. I can do this. I know that 60 divided by 5 is 12. And so 70 must be 14. So it's 15 plus 1.
Yeah, you're right.
We need 16 hands to count the number of episodes that we have.
That was fire math you just did.
Thank you.
That was impressive.
I took calculus once.
What are you drinking?
Oh, this is it's called a Brooklyn Bel Air Sour. It's from a pack of beer that Sean picked up. Thanks, Sean.
Do you like sours?
I've never had one. I just took my first sip, and it's actually really nice.
You like it?
Yeah. It tastes like an ale.
Yeah.
Well, like a what do we drink? Cider. It tastes like cider.
Yeah. They're very sweet. Have you ever had I feel like you would like. Have you ever had a hazy IPA?
No.
You ever had one of those? You ever heard of those?
No.
Hazy IPAs are they're made with citrus.
So
they're beer that's made with like citrus, so like oranges and like stuff like that. They're really, really good. That's usually what I drink when I go to the bar.
I would try that.
Like every weekend, during the pandemic, I'm going to the bar.
Yeah.
But,
Hey, because, bars don't catch COVID. When you go to a bar, it's actually COVID is not allowed in there.
Right, yeah.
They say, just remove your mask. This is a COVID-free zone.
Totally
Similar,
safe.
Also no HIV in bars. Right. Everything's not in there.
No.
There is smallpox, though. There are smallpox in bars, so be warned.
The cleanest part of the bar is the bathroom.
Yes. You could. I prefer to actually eat my bar chips, which I'm saying that like a British person. So I'm talking about French fries. I prefer to eat my bar chips off the floor of the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's my favorite place to eat.
Yeah.
Clean, HIV and COVID free. I like everyone to watch me and spit on me. I don't like that. That's too far.
I miss bars. I never thought that I would say that.
Yeah.
Because I've only had a handful of good bar experiences.
Right.
The last one I did was so crazy. So it was Thanksgiving a year ago.
Wow.
What the fuck? That's crazy. But so a year ago now, my hometown has this bar called Sidelines, where it's the barest of the bar.
I like that name.
Yeah, it is like a sports bar. You go in there, you get fucking greasy ass burgers, legs, fries.
Yes.
Cheese on those fries.
Yes.
On those fries.
Yes.
You want jalapenos too?
Oh my God. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's too
That,
much.
that kind of place.
Yeah, that's good.
And so every day before Thanksgiving, all of the so a tradition that's been going on for years and years and years since this bar opened, basically,
Mm-hmm.
is that all the college kids who come home from break the day before Thanksgiving all go to sidelines who grew up in Swickley and live
Yeah.
in Swickley. And for the longest time, for the first, you know, 3 years of my college career, I was like,
Yeah.
no, like not doing that. I don't want to see people I didn't want to see, you know. I
Yeah.
avoided. I left for a reason, you know.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I don't want to do that. And none of my friends want to do it either.
Yeah.
The last year, uh, four of my buddies was like, let's go to sidelines. And I was like,
Fuck.
okay.
Yeah.
And so all I have to say is it was a blur. I don't know. Dude, I walked in there and I knew I was gonna hate it. But literally, I'm, you know, I call myself a pretty sociable person, you know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Mind, I don't mind crowds. I don't mind. But here's what I do mind: is you go into a bar and you can't even walk around. Like it's
Yeah.
literally like, like people are up against the wall, just sipping their fucking.
Yeah.
I'm like, what
Yeah.
is? Everyone is sweaty and drunk
Yeah.
and
Gross.
yelling,
Gross.
and you know. But the crazy part is, I knew I saw people that I didn't have not seen since sixth grade. So I was like, hey, what's up? And like, so it was kind of fun in that respect, where it was like, uh, well, and also when I get in those situations, super nervous, and I go, bartender,
Hit
give
me.
me a double, you know, or, I just drank more.
Yeah.
So I'm drinking, I'm hammering these drinks down, and just talking to random people. Um, it's one of those drugs. It's one of those like nights where you will walk up to somebody and have a hour long conversation with them, and then you
Yes.
walk away and you go, "Who did I just talk to?"
Yeah, right.
Um, that usually happens in bars. But the
Yeah.
reason I remember this night so vividly is by the time, so we came in with four, and my whole group turned into like 15 or like 10 or 15 people.
Wow.
And my buddy Max, shout out to Max if you're listening to this, he lives pretty close to sidelines.
Yeah.
We were all like, and this is like 1 in the morning, and we were all like, let's go to Max's house. And so we go to Max's house, and it's like 1:45, and we're still drinking. We're like pouring like bourbon and beers, and we're still drinking.
Wow.
And
Wow.
then my friend Sarah, who lives literally right across the street,
Yeah.
was like, "Come over," and
Oh
so it was
no.
2:45. And she just rolled over at 2:45, and we're just. I remember like I have a picture on my phone of me like sitting on the couch with one of my friends with the timestamp. It was like 4 in the morning, and we were just
Wow.
like still partying.
Damn.
That was a fun night. That was really fun. That was the last really insane bar experience I've had. I
Yeah.
remember when we went to. I remember when we went to a bar, the one above Donato's area.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That was
That shit made me laugh so hard because that was also a night where I talked to a random guy at the bar for like 15 minutes.
I remember that. I
He
you
bought me a beer, and I was like, okay. And he was like, so what do you do? We literally talked for like 20 minutes, and I don't even remember his name.
Wow.
Yeah.
We
Fun
miss you,
times.
that guy. Yeah, that's a great story. It's fun, it's fun when you're partying, which college was great for this. When you had those moments where everyone was just in the groove and
So
everybody
good.
was like sort of
Yeah.
on the same level and just like let's just keep doing all that
Yeah.
stuff, and it feels
Yeah.
really good.
No one wants it
Um
to end.
yeah, but that also made me have a thought about bars and things where
Wait,
it totally
bars or
bars
bars? Bars.
bars
No, you're
uh
gonna spit 16 right now?
I'm gonna spit 16 16 words. uh but what made me think about bars is in school is that um it makes sense why people pregame. And you remember how in college
Mhm.
people said like, don't pregame, you'll get too drunk. But the
Yeah.
thing is, if you don't pregame, it's so boring.
Yeah, it's not
It's
fun.
so boring to like go to these places.
Yeah.
Only when a sticky floor packed full of people is
Oh
only fun when you're shit
my
faced.
god, dude. Yeah, the sun is or
Gross.
part disgusting.
Gross.
Like I remember one time I was too sober and we went there and I was like
No, no.
that's when I
That,
realized I was like, what is going on? Like my feet are sticking to the floor. Like this isn't like oh it's a little sticky. No, my foot is stuck
yeah.
to the floor and I'm like, ugh, like I can yank it off the floor. Like this is just disgusting.
Yeah, it's gross.
And it's such a funny experience. It's like you're in like a haunted mansion. Like every room is like a new experience. You walk into some random room and it's like all the hippies there like doing weird dances and you're like, I don't know, this
All
is the vibe.
right.
And then you go in this one, yeah. And then you go in the other room and it's just like literally packed to the brim of just hot, sweaty people. You
yeah.
walk in there and you feel like you just walked into the Sahara Desert, and
I
then you just walk out.
Dude,
Yeah,
there's nothing grosser than feeling the heat of
oh,
like
other bodies.
10,000 frat guys just
Uh,
it's just this horny drunken heat that you
horny,
just
drunken
feel
heat.
radiating
Yeah,
off of
dude.
you.
Yeah, dude. College is wild. If you're
Yeah,
listening
it is.
to this, you probably went to college, but
Yeah.
if you didn't,
That's okay. It's totally fine. Like all you missed out on is hot drinks.
I remember, I remember a funny experience that I'll never forget when it got busted and you and I were sitting on a hill and like
I know.
watching
Yeah.
literally like these groups of police just raid like the sunnies. We were just sitting there and we were looking at each other like, man, I like you.
yeah. Yeah. That was like our
We were
moment
just
where we were just
drunk and we
like,
were just like,
we're gonna be friends for a long time. Literally an ambulance like
yeah.
was going by
We were,
and
and then everybody else was talking like, did somebody die? And we're just
yeah.
like,
And the cops were shaking this poor kid down. Where's the weed? Where's the weed?
I know.
Well, it was
Oh
they were
yeah, it was a
where's
weed bus. That's
they were
right.
saying where's the dabs? Where's the
Where's the
dabs?
guy?
Where's the dabs?
Right here, bitch.
hey, hey, officer! Hey,
Right here.
I got him!
That's the most like 2010 joke.
I
What
know.
were dabs popular?
Dabs? Well,
Dabs.
they were popular when we were in school, which was earlier this year.
Like dabs?
Yeah, dog.
Those dabs?
Yeah, they seem to have died over the lockdown. They didn't make it through the harsh winter.
Yeah. Thank God.
Thank goodness.
It's all got the crabby stuff now. You
What?
listen to the crabby stuff?
The crabby.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
you
what you
haven't
sent
heard the
me.
crabby stuff
No,
yet?
I'm ashamed to admit I've
Oh,
outed myself that I didn't
oh
actually
fuck.
listen
All
to it.
right, we're gonna play 5 seconds of it.
Oh my god,
Because
YouTube copyright claim.
I just need to show you that this
Mr.
beat is hard.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Krabs was like a word. Who made this?
I don't know, but it's, you gotta hear the chorus.
Yeah, this might just be the hypest podcast on the planet.
A song is when I heard that, I was like, why do I like this?
Yeah. That's really funny.
To the
That's
left,
hysterical.
to the left, to the right, to the right.
I have some news to mention 15 minutes into the podcast.
Okay.
Just to break up this discussion.
Yeah.
It's really boring. It's not exciting at all.
Uh-huh.
I just want to explain to everybody things have been whacked this week. The reason for that is because things are whack right now. That's just how it is. But I just want to tell everyone everything's going back to normal in Thick and Butter land. What'd you call it? The Thick and Butter Empire? Thick and Butter Nation. That's what you called it. The Thick and Butter Nation. Tunes are coming out on Sundays because today's Saturday. Tunes are coming out on Sundays and podcasts are coming out on Tuesdays. We kind of skipped a week. Sorry. That's not going to happen anymore.
We apologize.
All right. That's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to mention that because
that's good. We got to get the business out of the way.
Because that's business, baby. Anyways, what kind of drugs have you tried recently? What have you been putting into your veins to cope with the constant nothingness that is our current existence?
Well, it's actually funny you ask that.
Oh.
So I tried crack. And here's my review on crack.
Okay, crack cocaine. Did you put up your butt or did you sniff it?
I didn't do crack. But if you guys got crack,
if you got crack,
I was actually, it's funny because I was curious about what really is the worst drug. You know, like what is the worst?
Like, well, what will fuck you up the most?
What will fuck you up the most? Research found, I believe it was heroin.
Oh,
heroin
I believe that.
Fuck you up.
I would think it would be heroin or meth. That would be. I would have guessed meth.
Yeah, meth affects. It depends what you want to give up. You know, if you were going to choose between, if you had to be a drug addict,
sure,
which drug would you choose, heroin or meth? It's kind of your choosing because meth really affects your brain, really affects the way that you think and your cognitive ability. I don't think it affects you as horribly, like the withdrawals aren't as bad as heroin. Heroin is like so bad that like withdrawals can basically kill you. That's like
wow.
Yeah. Meth, meth. I think the withdrawals are pretty bad, but they're not like you don't have to go to the hospital because you're withdrawing from heroin. Like, you literally have to give you heroin to like survive. Like, if you do it for so long, don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah, don't do heroin or meth.
Don't do heroin or meth.
Those are bad ones. Or crack. Yeah. I mean, I have not met. I've met people who have done.
A good Advil.
You did? Hey, dude, I tried 4 tablets of ibuprofen the other day. Dude, it was so crazy. All my pain gone in like 30 minutes. Dude, unbelievable. It's exactly what they say on the bottle.
They're
literally selling this stuff. Like, I don't know what you can compare it to. It's incomparable. Nothing like ibuprofen.
What are they going to sell weed at Rite Aid? That's the real question.
That is the real question.
Like medical weed.
The real question. Sean was really funny when he came to Colorado and we checked out a dispensary.
Yeah,
like, this is the craziest thing.
Is that the first time he went to?
Yeah, that's the first time he went to bought legal weed.
That's great.
It's a weird experience the first time
because so excited.
Yeah, he was overjoyed. He was very happy.
Really cool experience.
It is.
Because you come from Ohio where you buy weed from a guy in a back alley with a mullet. And he's like, "This is the real good stuff, man." And you're like,
It's a,
"Okay."
it's just such a distinction when you have to like when you're trying to talk to people about weed in Ohio world. You're like, all right, dude, you see that puff puff over there? That stuff is the real nice thing, you know. It makes me feel
Yeah.
all woozy toozy. And then we go into the dispensary, and this guy's like, "Yeah, this edible will get you so fucked up and high that you won't go to work, but this one will make you want to feel more focused." And you want these kind of branches in the
It'll get
sativa.
you so fucked up that it'll fuck up your day. Like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
give me that one.
Yeah. It's
That's
so it's just
hilarious.
so it's just so it's refreshing and a little bit alarming how open they
Yeah,
are to
totally.
like saying like, this is just
Absolutely.
weed. It's
Yeah.
like, this is the, you're telling me this isn't green ganj, this isn't the puff puff, this isn't
This is the
the good
gods?
thing. This is no sir, this is straight up marijuana. This is the stuff that will get you real fucking high.
Right.
And that's what you want to
Yeah.
buy from me right
That's
now
what
with
we're
your
getting.
little
If you go
tender.
to the one that we went to, the
Yes.
Fresh
Yes.
Baked,
Yes.
what a great name.
It cracks me up that you go into like this little booth, you get your private
Our
little
bud tender was a cute lady too.
I know.
Cute
They have
lady.
a variety of people. This time they had a really massive black man who had the softest voice and
Yeah.
was
Mike
so,
Tyson.
yeah, like he was so goddamn helpful.
Yeah.
Um and I don't they it
What you
was
get? You get the suppositories, the weed suppositories, and shove that shit up your ass and
is that a
have a
real thing?
party.
Is that a real
I
thing?
don't. Let's look it up.
They give
I mean, they had.
Herb, look up.
I have to look it up because I mean, when I went to Colorado, I mean, they have weed bath bombs.
Yeah,
Put it in the bath.
yeah.
The steam will get you high. So
Well, okay, there's also now with this weed, we're seeing this whole in Colorado, there's this interesting branding. The things that they advertise like crazy here, especially in grocery stores, is they advertise CBD and keto. Keto's stupid, but I don't know if keto works for you, that's
oh,
cool, but
hot take, hot take.
like,
We're not very thick boys though, so we don't.
yeah,
I feel like we're
I
not a little.
understand the keto diet is fine. The keto labeling in the grocery store is
Sure,
ridiculous
I
because they
have.
will label eggs as keto friendly. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
dude,
yeah.
why you this is so manipulative advertising. Eggs,
Yeah.
gluten
Uh,
free.
the keto diet. I have actually. I know a lot of people who do the keto diet. It's worked a lot for them.
Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, I mean, I hate. It's just dumb marketing. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't like that either. So
Yeah.
I just looked at weirdest weed products. Bro, there is one.
A
No
weed
way,
dispository. Does that work? Does
dude.
that
I
work?
gotta read this.
I guess. I
Oral
guess.
pleasure relief suppositories. There has been talk floating around about about a cannabis tampon
What?
that wards off menstrual pain. What?
Oh, if that works, that's kind of
So
brilliant.
ladies are selling cannabis tampons to what? To cure like, you know, that's crazy.
I wonder,
There's
would
a
that
soothing benefit of full spectrum cannabis directly to the area that needs it most. For those, so it's got,
I haven't heard anything about
dude, you can
campus
sell a
camping
60
menstrual cramps.
milligram suppository out there.
A woman can shove a 60 milligrams of weed up her vagina.
If they really wanted to, yes, they
They
can.
come, those tampons exist. A 60
Yeah,
milligram tampon exists.
yeah.
That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
There's also, uh,
I could probably buy that here.
yeah, you should look into that. That's pretty goddamn funny. You should try it.
Wow.
Yeah, hey, you know those videos that we're talking about?
Yeah.
That's one. Jesse reviews the cannabis suppository.
Wow. The tampon though specifically. I wonder if it works. I wonder if they if it would work. If this thing is real. There's no reason that it wouldn't work if I shoved it up my butt, right? Like I could just shove that tampon up my butt and it's like a 60 milligram ambable
That's a funny,
right up the rear.
That's a funny Google search. Can I shove cannabis suppository up butt? I don't think you'll find the medical answer for that. I think you'll take you
I
to
thought
Reddit.
I thought that's what we were. I thought that's what a
Yeah,
a
I don't
suppository
know.
is originally.
Yeah, it is. But I think these are. Yeah, I
These are
don't know.
tampons specifically.
Yeah,
That
I guess
is
they're for local
this is
KJ.
this is
There's weed toothpaste. That's funny.
yeah.
That's funny for a lot of reasons. Because, you know, when you, like, if you want to get high, you're like, I gotta brush my teeth.
Yeah.
What a weird. Like,
I just can't.
I'd
I can't.
rather eat some chocolate than go.
Also, the thing with toothpaste is you're not supposed to swallow it. So what's the point of that?
Yeah, it's true. How do you consume it?
Yeah, is it like you're just supposed to?
That's a great point. Let's read this.
Is it just supposed to go in your gums?
You
Just
can
soak in
protect
there?
and clean your teeth and gums with a truly all natural product that is vegan, PETA certified. PETA, okay. Novelist and sounds.
No animals were harmed to harvest this weed.
Hmm. Wow. And no, it doesn't have a particular organic taste. It comes in the classic mint flavor. Well, wait, it doesn't say anything about like how much weed. All right, I don't
That's
know.
ridiculous. I
I
don't
don't
buy
even know
that.
if that gets you high. I think it's just.
I think that's like I
I
think
think
that's
it's
like
just novel. It could be like this is made with weed.
yeah, that's like the gold flex in on your food and shit.
Yeah,
Or like the obsession with avocados that happened a
avocado
little while
toast.
back. Yeah. Avocado toast is great.
It is good, but it's
I don't
not
know.
$10.
But
Not
like
$10 worth.
every once in a while, there comes a thing that comes around, and everyone's like, obviously, this thing is what's going to cure cancer. And for a while, it was avocado toast.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
How could we not see this before?
yeah, all
Avocados.
that stuff I have a restaurant in my hometown that's like a bougie ass, you know, I don't even know what you call it, like the modern art of food, where it's basically like
It's like a
uh,
gourmet restaurant.
yeah, gourmet, yeah. It's like a gourmet deli,
Okay, gotcha.
but they sell avocado toast that's like $15.
Oh my god. I hope they give you two slices, dude. They better fucking give
They
you two
give you
slices.
one.
One slice of avocado
I never
toast.
bought it. A friend that I went with there once got it. Did it look really good?
Yeah.
But it's
But
I
is
couldn't
it
make it at home.
did they spice it up more than just like toasting a
Oh
piece
yeah,
of
for
bread and
sure.
putting avocado on it?
There's there's spices in it. There's different things in the avocado. It's kind of like
Yeah,
the guacamole toast.
sure. It's if you will, they might
Yeah,
want to rephrase it and rebrand this as guacamole toast. Then people might
guacamole,
understand what they are getting into a little bit better.
guacamole toast.
Can you
Guacamole toast. Um, yeah, but all those like food things like piss me off.
they fucking they drive me more insane.
There's also I live in a bougie neighborhood, so
Yeah.
there's another smoothie store called Salud, where
Salud? Like
Salud,
that's like it's that
yeah,
means high in something.
Salud, yeah. What does that mean? That means
Herb.
I
Is it
thought
herb or
herb.
herm? Is it herb or herm? I think we
I
call them
feel like it's
herb
supposed
and herm.
herb,
Herb is
short
funny.
for Herbert.
Herbert. Herb.
What am I
Herb.
looking up?
You were looking up what salud
So yeah,
means.
salud meaning.
It either means hello
In
or
Spanish,
gesundheit.
salud means health. Yeah, that's right.
Salud. Hello. Say in
Health,
Spanish?
salute, yeah, in Spanish. But
Okay.
it's also said, well, this is weird. The Spanish salute comes from the Latin salus, variously meaning health, wealth, and security.
Health, wealth.
Outside its use meaning health, salute is used to say cheers. So it's
Mm.
going to say like good health,
Oh,
hope
gotcha.
you have good health.
Gotcha.
Anyway, fuck this place. It has like you go in and it's like these smoothies, and it's like made with like spinach, apple, like they're good. They're not
Yeah.
bad, but they're $15 for a fucking
Wow.
smoothie. You're like, bro, I could go to Wendy's right now and get 4 Baconators for
Yeah.
$15. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah, dog.
and also, how hard is the smoothie to make? Like, I could get all these ingredients. I got a blender. Tell me how to do it.
Yeah.
Now I give you $15. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
I
going
think
to Orange
that's
Julius. Fuck you.
yeah, that's fucking that is heckin' bananas. I mean what people are paying for is I don't know about Salutes, the smoothie place, but I know
Yeah,
with Gourmet Place, it's like the whole atmosphere experience of it and not about the eating, which is
yeah.
just like it's like, dude,
It's kind of like,
I'd rather go to a museum.
what's your opinion of sushi?
I love sushi. I,
Yeah,
I I don't get it ever because it's so fucking expensive and not filling. And when
yeah,
I eat, I
yes.
want to be full when I'm
I
done
agree.
eating.
I agree
But I
100%.
love sushi.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone to a couple, like, banging sushi places in my life,
Yeah.
like really nice places. And like, I always love the experience, but like I'm always out of there like, dude, let's go to Wendy's. I'm hungry as shit.
Yeah, right,
Like I
right.
don't eat enough
Yeah.
out there, which sucks because you pay like $50 meal
Yeah.
and then like you're still hungry as fuck.
I
And then,
I
like, you know,
I know it's like it's more like it has an art to
it's
it, like the
more like
sushi
yeah,
making.
there's more.
It, it's
Yeah,
just
so that's
it's un
why I asked you
yeah.
about it because it's kind of similar to that, where it's like these movies are kind of artfully made.
Yeah, right.
I think that's the idea behind it. But
But yeah, it
sushi is
just
much more complicated to make.
I feel like
You have to
if
be
I
a pro. You got to be a real guy who makes like really good sushi. Like
yeah, you got to
it's
be like
hard to do that
Jiro
shit.
level. I feel like if I were going into the food business, I would want to invest myself in a piece of food that was a little bit more sustaining than a biscuit, you
Yeah.
know? Like
Yeah.
because like that's what I get out of sushi. I get
Imagine
about
if you
the
just
same as a
make.
biscuit.
What if you get like your restaurant? You just make biscuit. You just make.
Yeah.
You just make biscuits.
Yeah.
Um, you serve.
And that's
You
it. We're
know,
the biscuits
you sit
place.
down and you go. Um, what do you want on your biscuit? So what
No,
you
you can't even say
advertise,
that. You don't even advertise any
you're like
no toppings, just biscuit.
butter. Dude, we should get a food truck and
Yeah,
just do the biscuit truck. And the menu is
just
what do you no,
biscuits.
it just says what do you want on your biscuit? And it's like egg, butter, peanut butter. It's like tons of list of things that you can get
Yeah,
on your biscuit. And then you get farther down the list, it gets more crazy.
yeah.
Like molasses or
Wow, man,
salt,
you take that back right now.
salt.
Molasses on my salt, salt on my biscuit,
Yeah, dude, you don't know what people like.
dude. Take that. I can't
Okay,
believe
what
I
do you
can
think
get
of this
salt on my
though?
biscuit.
Do you think it's either? What do you think of pineapple on pizza?
I don't normally get it. I've always thought I didn't like it, but you know what? My world is expanding. I'd be willing to give it a
Okay,
shot
so you
now.
haven't tried it recently.
Now.
I love pineapple on pizza.
Okay.
You know, and then I recently there's a great burger place where I live near where I live, and they have a burger that has peanut butter on it, and
Mhm.
I was like, what? Like
Mhm.
meat, peanut butter? I was like, this is I dude. I
It's
tried
the
it in the beginning. I tried it in the beginning of the pandy. Every time I got there, I got that. Like it is
wow.
so good. It's like one of those things that you don't think will mix well, but it's just like,
Yes.
wow, perfect. Really
Yeah.
bizarre. It's those it's those people that are pushing the boundaries. They're like, hey,
Yeah.
let's see. Let's try it. You're
Yeah.
not gonna know until you try it.
And you bring up a good point. This is what the value of like a lot of gourmet centric stuff is, and like with sushi, it's like about those minute flavor components and creating these things. So like when you go to a real sushi place and you dole out the bucks for the full sushi experience, and that guy's going to be like, let me change your world with this fish and this strange vegetable. So like I understand that. I
Yeah,
mean, your peanut butter burger has opened my eyes.
dude, you reminded me. I don't know why I thought of this, but the sushi. I remember like a couple months ago, I found out that you know Blowfish, right?
Yeah.
Blowfish. Did you know that, like, so there is a person, so you could make sushi out of blowfish, but
Yeah.
it could kill you.
Right.
So
Because they're so
if it's
poisonous.
not prepared right,
Yes.
it could kill you. And there's only like 4 people in the world that do it.
Would you
Now,
do it? Would you eat
I
that burger?
I don't think so.
I wouldn't either. No
I don't
way.
think so. I
No
don't like
way.
sushi that much. I don't like. I mean, I love. I would try anything. Like I like. I like try. Like when I go to different country, I like trying like weird shit. I like trying whatever. Like a new experience. I like shit like that.
Yeah.
But I draw the line where it's like you might die. Like how good is it gonna be? Like if
Right.
it's like what if you eat it? It's like not
Like
that.
it doesn't
It's like
matter how
cheating.
good it is. It's never
It's
going
the
to deal
thrill.
with the stress of like
Yeah,
I
it's the
might die.
thrill. It's the thrill.
I'm
It's
not
like
I'm not
thrill seeking for food.
I'm not into that. I'm not into that
Are
kind
you
of
into?
I can't do roller coasters. There's no way I'm doing deadly blowfish sushi.
Yeah, because when you put that in your mouth, it's gonna go back.
I know, yeah, you can't do anything about it. And it's like, you know what? I believe that chef is so good at what he does, he would never fuck it up. He does it every day. He got it.
Yeah, yeah,
But like, I'm not taking the risk that I'm
yeah. If
just
I
the
went to
unlucky fuck who's on the
yeah,
off day.
if I went to if I was in Japan and I was somehow at the best
Yeah.
sushi place in Tokyo, and they were like, "Hey, try this,"
Yeah.
I'd be like, "All right, maybe."
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
have to do it with somebody else. I can't
Yeah.
just do it by
Hey,
myself.
this is
Because
another situation.
if we both die, there's
Yeah, hey,
something
camaraderie,
about
friendship.
that.
Also, this is a great situation where alcohol really helps. If you're drunk as fuck, yeah, give
True,
me that
exactly.
shit. Dude,
Yeah,
pop that shit in my mouth. If I'm not gonna die, I'm
yeah.
goddamn invincible. Let me down that
I'm gonna die having a
vodka.
good time.
That also makes me think about something. What if your passion is to become the blowfish sushi guy? How
Yeah.
do you get into that field?
Yeah, I don't know. I
How
don't
do you
know.
convince the first guy that you said I cooked this right? How do you practice? Like, do you just have to
Yeah,
like do those guys to get good at cooking that? Did they have to kill
I
a couple of
know.
people?
I
How did they
know.
do that?
I
Did they
don't
test it on
know.
themselves? Like, is it a way
Yeah,
it
that's a good
looks?
question. Maybe
What
there's
is
a
the theory
way.
behind
Maybe
it?
there's a literal way that you could see that. Maybe
Yeah.
it's like I don't know. I don't know what's poisonous about the blowfish. Maybe it's like taking a certain part out of the blowfish.
Yeah.
Um, maybe you can tell that it's like
which is
not.
which is hilarious if there's like a method to be like how like let's like a snake or something that we're more familiar with. You
Yeah,
can eat a rattlesnake. I don't think this is true, but let's say
you can eat rattlesnake.
this is a thought experiment. Let's say you
Yeah,
can't eat rattlesnake unless you take out the fangs, right? If it's something like that,
yeah,
where imagine how stupid all these other blowfish chefs are, that they're just like, dude, you just got to take this shit out. You just take this part out that you
yeah.
can see it with your eyes. You didn't take that out. It's going to kill the guy that you're feeding your sushi to.
I know. Well, that's gotta happen, right?
Yeah.
That's gotta happen.
What a bunch of idiots. Come on, give it to me. I'll prepare it.
I'll
I
do
don't I
it.
won't know how to
Give me
do it.
that knife.
If they hand
Give me
me if
that knife and some chopsticks. I'll do it.
do you
I
think
got it.
do you think you could gut a fish? Like do you think you could like prepare fish for dinner?
I have got a fish before.
How was that?
It's not that bad.
Not that bad?
Fish don't bother me.
I feel
I
like
don't know
that
why.
fish won't bother me as much. Well, it's like I feel like when you look at a mammal or any other
Well, the
creature
whole
that's
thing about
skimping
like
around.
the anatomy of a fish is so much different than like I don't know. Because like I don't even know when I did it I was like I don't know where the heart is. Like I couldn't I was like I don't know where that is. I don't even know what it looks like. I
Yeah.
don't know what any of it is. I think
Yeah.
there's a difference when you like cut something open that you're like, oh there's the intestine. There's the
Right.
you know.
Right. Right. It's the relating, I mean, with animals and all these other creatures. I think you're right. It's just that we
And
can
there's also
relate it
not
to
a lot there's
ourselves.
not that much going on in the fish. Like it's
Right.
kind of just like
Right. That's what
meat
I was
that
gonna
you
say.
eat
Like
that
when
just
you look
looks
in,
good and the
yeah,
skeleton kind of it.
yeah,
Everything
yeah.
else is kind of they're cool creatures. Like if you look at the anatomy of a fish, they're pretty
Yeah, I
cool.
love fish. I think fish are fascinating. All water creatures, fish and bugs are like some of the coolest shit
Yeah, they
ever.
are cool. The ocean is fucking wild,
Yeah, dog.
wild. I
Yeah.
mean, we don't even know. We don't know what's down there. We don't.
No.
I mean, it's like a whole other world out there.
Scientists posit that it's probably water, but beyond that, they don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't know, man. Well, like underneath, like we've only got a certain amount of like depth, like in
Yeah.
the ocean. We don't. There are like a lot of creatures down there that we've seen pictures of that we're like, we don't know what they are. Like
Yeah.
we look so. I don't know.
Can you
I got some wild shit going on deep,
can
deep,
you
deep in the ocean.
can you imagine that if they go really deep down and they send a robot down there and they just see like this human guy just like
Yeah, dude, fucking Aquaman,
yeah.
merman, mermaids
Merman
are
swimming
real.
around down there?
Mermaids are real. Um, you know what I do think
Coming
is
at you?
real? I think Atlantis is real.
Yeah.
Like the idea, for me, like the idea of Atlantis, like that can't not, like why wouldn't that be real? Like
Yeah.
the idea that it's this sinking civilization that was not, I'm not saying people are living there. I'm saying that
Sure. No,
there's most
of it.
likely a city that is maybe deep in the ocean that is, was just sunken by water, an ancient civilization.
I would
We're gonna
love
our civilization will most likely be underwater one day. You
yeah,
know,
it's just crazy. Yeah, that's a
like
crazy
for
thought.
me to
It's
think
true.
that Atlantis can't, like isn't real. You
Or
know,
like think about this trippy thought that at some point, like what if the way the world has been going is that we've been like on this like rotating water like planet where we like our civilization will get covered by water, right, and go
yeah,
deep down, and then another thing will rise, and then that civilization will exist just like how we did but with
well, yeah,
their relics, and then
yeah,
we become the
yeah,
Atlantis to them, and then it
yeah.
like
That's
switches back
well,
and forth.
dude. I mean, that's not. That's not. I mean,
I would love to talk to Eva
one of my
about that.
dreams locations in the world that I really want to go to, and maybe I'm taking you with me. I don't care.
Yeah.
We're going. I don't care what you say.
I'm
I
worried.
really want to go to Machu Picchu
Oh,
one day.
yeah.
And I mean, that's an ancient civilization you are walking on a ancient civilization.
I would
Like
love
I
that.
mean,
I would love that.
but like at some point you're absolutely right. Like I don't know, I don't know, maybe the White House
Yeah.
is gonna be this like relic, like that people are like walk by and be like,
Wow.
this was where all the leaders of this country stayed. Like, like you don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy to think about.
It's pretty
Think
fucking
about how we
tripped
think
out.
about the Roman Empire and all
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
stuff. It's like fascinating to us. It's fucking crazy shit.
Yeah.
But dude, I want to go to Machu Picchu so bad. I'm
I
trying to.
would I would love that.
What's cool about that is like Peru isn't that far, and also like we would go and just be like, we're just doing Machu Picchu. We could go for like 3 days and just
Yeah.
really do Machu Picchu and then fly back. Because I just hear it's just mind altering
I
because
would
you
love.
go there and you're just
Wow.
walking on this thing that is thousands of years old, and you just think about how people were living. Like, like,
Yeah.
it's nuts. It's amazing that that's still around.
I would love to also. I would love to do that. And there's like some old ancient civilizations in New Mexico or Mexico, I think. Like, and see like those like civilizations that are built into the rock out of
Yeah, dude,
sandstone.
I'm all into that shit.
That would
Totally
be
into that
too.
shit.
I
I like
love
the
that.
history of that stuff. I want to do
History.
that.
History
Would
is
you ever
dope.
do Everest? Not like climb Everest, but would you go there?
Like, go and look at it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd be
I
interested in
would
doing
do it. I
that.
want to go to. I heard it's not as like it's kind of gross now, but there used to be a thing where you could go to base camp where you climb like you don't. It's not very far up, but you go to base camp, so you're at the base of the mountain,
Yeah.
and then you camp there for a couple days, and that's where all the people like start to like ascend up.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, after
Yeah.
doing it. That would be kind of cool to see, just to like
Yeah.
see like these people that are like meet people that are like, yeah, we're climbing it. Like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I would definitely be interested in that. I definitely.
Nepal sounds like a pretty crazy place, cool place.
Yeah. I do want to travel like real bad. And I want to travel not necessarily. I just want to travel to see. I'm more interested in what you're talking about, which is like the natural and historical like
Yeah,
spectacles of the world,
yeah,
just to get an
yeah,
impact of what our history is like and just meet like different cultures and stuff.
yeah,
I think that'd be
exactly.
dope. It
Dude,
would just
yeah,
be
one day we'll drop everything and fucking
go do that.
backpack across wherever,
That'd be
just
sweet.
train across South America. Just fucking
Hey, backpacking is as long as you're outside is COVID safe.
yeah, yeah. Um,
Hey, hey, you know what? I have you know how we've been talking about all these things that relate to themes such as
uh-huh.
history and existentialism. Maybe perhaps then we could relate this conversation that we're
Yeah,
having at this present moment
yeah.
to the next thing
Oh
that we're
yeah,
gonna
that's
have.
right. We're a movie podcast.
Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. The move podcast.
It's time to talk about the movie of the week, the
Oh my
film
god.
of the week
Oh my god.
that
What is it?
we that I chose to watch.
What is it?
This is a film called uh, Theodore Rex. I mean,
Yeah.
The Tree of Life,
Oh.
uh, which came out in 2011. And this is a film that um, is written and directed by one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most fascinating and most unique filmmakers of all motherfucking time.
Yeah.
And his name like Terrance Malick.
Some people call
Terrance
him
Malick,
Terry.
some people call him Terry. And this man's career is really bizarre. Really bizarre. Just an overview, real quick. Just
Yeah.
to give some heads up on who this guy is. So, Terrence Malick, I think he's definitely in his 70s now,
Yeah, I think he's like
um,
75.
75. And,
Wait, I think he might literally be 76.
oh yeah, let's see,
I'll
Terrence.
look it up. I'll look it up. You keep talking
Okay,
about him.
so Terrence Malick, so he started in the 70s, and he made what many consider one of the greatest film debuts of all time,
He is 76,
called oh 76. Okay,
which is the number of our episode.
wow, that's weird.
Yeah.
Weird coincidence. Um, his debut film was called Badlands, which is
Yeah.
a incredible movie. If you have not seen it, highly recommend it. It is fucking phenomenal. It's considered one of the best debut films of all time, and one of the best films of the 70s. And then he also made a movie called Days of Heaven that came out, 4 years after Badlands, like a normal filmmaker, every 3 years or 4 years.
Right.
And that was extremely. I love Days of Heaven, like Jesus Christ. The movie's amazing too. Um, Two of the most beautifully stunning movies like I've ever seen. Like just visually, the storytelling is so visual and unique and so beautiful. And then Terry took a 20-year break.
Wow.
20 years. And I
Wow.
believe he did this to study philosophy and become a philosophy professor. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know if he still does, but he is a philosophy, he has a PhD in philosophy.
It's crazy.
I'm pretty sure. And I don't know if he still teaches. Let's see. Um,
He's been busy lately. I don't imagine
yeah,
he has
he
time.
the European grad school. I think
Maybe he
he's
does
taught in
lectures
a
and
bunch of
stuff.
different stuff. Oh yeah. Let's see. Yeah, he did like a bunch of weird projects like during like his hiatus where he like disappeared for years, and I think people were really like thinking like, oh, okay, he's just doing that to like study philosophy and all this stuff. He came back with one of the best war movies of all time called The Thin Red Line, which it is the first time where you kind of see this, what we know of Malik today, which is kind
Mm-hmm.
of this
Mm-hmm.
kind of um, very, that we'll get into with this movie, with this very interesting approach to, um,
Unconventional, experimental,
yeah,
thought
unconventional kind
provoking.
of point of view, flopping kind of storytelling that is
Yeah.
very Malik. And that movie also introduced kind of this whispering, kind of philosophical dialogue that a lot of his movies have, that voiceover that goes
The meditative voiceovers, the
meditative.
phrase I
Yeah,
keep
yeah, yeah,
repeated over and
yeah,
over again.
yes. And the Thin Red Line is incredible. That's an amazing film. And then he made a movie called the New World, which I have not seen. I've heard it's pretty interesting. I have not seen. That's the only Terry movie other than Nine of Cups that I haven't seen.
You've seen Hidden
Um,
Life, the new one?
I have seen A Hidden Life.
Wow, nice.
Fantastic. Um, Great movie. I like it because like it's back to narrative filmmaking. He kind of like Song to Song, especially was like he was making these movies that didn't really have a story. It was kind of like concepts. We're like, all right, let's make a movie about the music in like world in Austin. And there's like
Yeah,
not a bunch of these actors and they basically just improv scenes and kind of like cut it
very
together.
like Nashville.
Yeah, yeah, but not nearly as conceptual or interesting as Nashville. Because Nashville
Okay,
has so much more layers going on to it.
sure,
And
sure.
Song of Song was kind of just interesting experiment. He was kind of experimenting with the idea of kind of improvised filmmaking, where he was
Yeah,
almost kind of the camera was kind of just following these actors, and they would just talk about like, all right, let's have the scene, and the actors would just kind of like be in character and just play out these scenes, but that doesn't
sure.
really most of the time turn out to be an engaging film because
Yeah,
you're kind of just like, why am I watching these people? Like,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
nothing really. There's moments that are beautiful, but but you're like, what is the point of all this?
Sure, sure, sure.
You don't really get to a point. And some people, that movie is extremely divisive. But
Yeah. Most of
anyway,
his movies are pretty divisive,
yeah.
but that one
And
maybe especially.
so, but the Tree of Life is a movie that kind of shook, shook the world. When it came
Mm.
out, it was talked about a lot. There's a famous Roger Ebert review of this movie where he called it one of the best movies he's ever seen in his life.
Yeah.
Basically, kind of loved it to an insane degree. And this is a movie that came out, I would have very close to before when he died.
Yeah.
And this is a movie that is one of the most ambitious movies I have ever seen in my life. The idea of this movie, the idea of what this movie attempted to do
Yeah.
is so ambitious that from my from what I gather from like researching this a little bit, is Terrance Malick wanted to make this movie in like 1995. And like
Yeah.
literally what like was not ready to make it. Like literally was prepping, trying because a lot of the things he could have had the resources to do some of the things
Yeah.
that he was able to do
I read that he
on
was
the level.
trying. He tried it in this experimental film called Q that he
Uh
eventually
huh.
abandoned, and then sort of revived some of that project to then be incorporated in the Tree of Life, which I
Interesting.
heard. So it was a like you're saying, it was just a labor of not just let's make a movie in a year. Is like
Yeah.
multi like like many years of
Many
work.
years of preparation.
Yeah.
And this movie literally tries to make a film about the meaning of life and
Hmm.
make a film about creation, about one's place in the world, about what, like, a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And it's so ambitious. The only movie that I can kind of compare this to is 2001.
Sure. Yeah,
In terms
totally.
of the scope and in terms of kind of the themes of it. Kind of similar in a way. Very different movies. But weird connection. The visual effects artist for this movie also did 2001.
Yes,
He's a
right.
supervisor, which kind of tells me that the guy knows how to do space because, good lord,
Wow. Yeah.
it's two of the
Wow.
most beautiful looking space sequences in any movies ever. And
Yeah.
craziest part is they're 40 years apart, like
Mhm.
crazy. When you
Yeah.
still watch 2001, you're still like, huh? Like you're still, it's still mind blowing.
Kubrick was an alien. He definitely
Kubrick was
was.
an alien. Yes. And Terrence Malick may be an alien too. Um,
Scientists are still a little bit the courts are still out. In? They don't know.
um, so this is gonna be I already can tell it's gonna be a different review. Because this movie is kind of strange to talk about, like in a structured way,
Yeah.
because this film is very much like sometimes we say this about like films. This film is very much a visual poem.
Yeah.
It's very much a a a not so much there are narrative parts of this movie. 100%. There are literal narrative scenes. There is a story, and definitely a story to be followed, other
Yeah.
than kind of line of cuts and song to song. Um, and I saw this movie like years ago. Like I saw this movie like 2013 or something. This is back when I was like
You were pretty young.
yeah, and I was first starting to like watch a lot of movies, so I was looking up like best movies of 2010s
Yeah, yeah.
or 2011. And this was, topping a lot of people's, lists. And Brad Pitt, Sean Penn,
It had
know,
everything. It had
had
it all.
everything. And, my 14-year-old brain was like, I don't know what this is. I don't remember. I don't think I finished it when I was 14 years old. I think I was like, I don't know. I couldn't follow it. It was just so, you know,
It's the
it's
tree of life.
yeah, it's a tree of life.
Yeah.
And so I revisited this in college, earlier in college, and it this movie like hit me on such a crazy, emotionally deep level that it's become one of my favorite art films, definitely in the 2010s. And I have some issues with it, like that when I rewatched it, didn't hit me as hard. Um,
Sure, sure.
but I think this movie is fucking extremely special and something that is so ambitious and cra- so large in scope, and it's hard for anybody to not to even a film fan to appreciate the level of ambition that he was going for with this movie. There's fucking dinosaurs in this movie, like,
And it works. It's not
and it
random.
works, and it's not but you know, you hear that, you're like, yeah, this movie's about this kind of, uh, it's about a family, kind of a dysfunctional family, but also it's a movie about the creation of Earth and
Yeah.
kind of parallel between the creation of Earth and this kind of dysfunctional family. And you know, on paper you'd be like, huh? But this movie is such a it's a visual masterpiece. It is
Yes.
something that is so hypnotic and so like I cannot take my eyes on this movie.
Yes.
I've seen it. This is the third time I've seen it, and I literally am just like, it's so meticulously crafted and edited, and I always gravitate towards movies like this, man, that are visual, that literally you could not listen to you can turn this movie on mute. You could not hear any of the dialogue and still kind of get this feeling from it because the
Yeah.
visuals and how Malik directs this movie is so emotionally potent to like a degree that I haven't really seen a lot of films that meets that. But and also the film was shot by Emmanuel Lubezki, who
Mm-hmm.
is one of the best cinematographers of our
Yeah,
generation.
I totally know that name.
He
Yeah.
won he won back to back to back Oscars. He won
Wow.
3 Oscars in a row. He won for Gravity, um, Birdman, and The Revenant. Back to
Wow.
back to back. And if
That's
you see The
crazy.
Revenant, you know this man knows how to use a goddamn camera.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
he knows what he's doing a
And
little
this
bit.
is kind of his movies are kind of a excuse for like a kind of like this is what digital filmmaking can do because
Yeah.
the way that he is definitely the most artistic when it comes to like digital because the way that he captures color and the way that he uses light and
Yeah.
kind of is you can only kind of get with digital, you know,
Yeah,
and
sure.
he's a major proponent of digital
I,
filmmaking.
I is this film on digital? I thought it was
Yes,
on film.
I think, you know, I don't know. I know that Birdman and The Revenant and Gravity are definitely on digital. I don't
Yeah.
know about this though. Now that I think about it,
I
actually,
would believe that it was on digital, and I would believe it's on film.
I
I
feel
would
like
I
I
would
would.
I would
There
could be
might
persuaded either way.
it might be both.
Yeah. I would believe
These
that
films
too.
do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's kind of my take on
Yeah,
this.
that's
My
great.
first uh kind of why I
Stab.
chose this and why I fucking
Yeah.
love this movie. But
Yeah.
I want to know what you thought of it the first when you watched it, because I was eager to hear about it because I'm always eager to hear about people who see this for the first time because it's really weird.
Yeah, I had a great experience with it. I think I hit it. I just entered with it at a perfect time in my life.
Uh huh.
After I'm really glad I was out of film school when I watched this.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a kind of thing that I think I would have liked in my past years, but maybe from a more pretentious lens as opposed to a truly appreciative lens.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
now
That's good to acknowledge that. I think.
and I think that when I was recognizing when I was watching this, and when I've been watching movies recently, that when I was in film school and trying to make good films, I was really criticizing it on kind of like what was of value to me was realizing how they technically did it. And I'm still interested in engaging with how, because I want to create stories about how they do it. But I wasn't so concerned about that with this film. And
Yeah.
it wasn't something where I was like trying to break it down and really understand what he was doing. And
Yeah.
I just had a very, what I would describe as just a very pure experience with it.
Yeah.
So I felt like and maybe Terry would disagree, but I felt like I watched this the way I was supposed to, and I got a lot
Yeah.
doing it out of doing it that way.
Yeah.
This was my entrance into Terrance Malick. I've never seen another Terrance Malick film in my life. I have
I
questions
think
about
a
it.
lot of people. I think for
Yeah,
a lot of people, this is their first Terrance Malick movie.
I don't think it's a bad entry film. I think
No,
that,
I don't think so. I mean, as someone who's seen a lot of movies, I don't think so.
yeah, I have a lot of questions like comparing it to other movies, but I think that will be something that will come up naturally
Yeah.
later. Um, but the thing that is what 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 I loved about my experience is how this was so fresh to see a film made like this. And the only thing I could really compare it to, the two directors I could compare it to, would be Stanley Kubrick in 2001, like
Yeah.
you're saying, and maybe just Stanley Kubrick's kind of style,
Uh-huh.
and also Andrei Tarkovsky. Which, have you
Yeah.
seen any of his stuff?
No.
Yeah, if you watch Solaris and Stalker,
Yeah.
you will be there. You remember the shots of the reeds
Mm-hmm.
in this
Yeah.
movie?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's a reference to Solaris.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to claim it's a reference,
Yeah.
but I just got mad.
Probably
Like,
is.
I just feel like that it's
Yeah.
just like it's in the
Probably is.
same kind of world of
Yeah.
philosophical filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
Which it's just cool to see a director who like Andre was just like, Tarkovsky was just sort of on another level. On Tarkovsky and oh my god, who made Persona? Persona, that guy. Uh, yeah, Bergman. So he's kind of like on this level that a lot of,
Seven Seal.
yeah, I do. Yeah, that was
Wild.
that was a crazy experience.
Yeah.
But it's cool to be able to experience and have like one of these directors in the modern era who, it's cool if you think he's pretentious and stuff, but I like having this
People, it's
very,
good to point out. A lot of people could view this movie as pretentious, you know.
yeah,
I don't think so at all, but
yeah.
I can't really argue against that. But um,
Yeah, I mean,
I
maybe it
think
is.
people sometimes I think pretension is kind of thrown
Yeah.
out too often because it's like, oh, sometimes it's like, oh, it's weird. Why is he subjecting me to this like weird art thing? Pretentious.
Yes.
It's like I don't. That's not really pretentious, but
Yeah. I mean, what would be pretentious is if people say, like if someone's like said to Terrance, "I don't understand it," and Terrance said, "Well, that's because you're not smart enough."
and Terry
Pretentious.
famously doesn't do any interviews. There's
Yeah.
not one interview of with him that I
Yeah.
can recall like find. I think there
Yeah.
might be a couple written ones, but
Yeah.
there's not a lot of. He doesn't show himself a lot.
Which I think that
There's not
that's
even a lot of pictures of him.
yeah. I think that I think that's a really, I'm coming to really appreciate that much more as I wish I could understand his personality as a director, just because I'm fascinated with directors.
Yeah.
But I like this attitude that a director like Terrance or David Lynch
Mm-hmm.
has. I don't know why I keep calling him Terrance, like first name Malik. I don't know what that, like, sort of Malik and David
Terrance.
Lynch sort of have that are similar between them,
Yeah.
where they don't want to invade into your
Yes.
experience of understanding the movies.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to explain it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You
Yeah.
let it be whatever you want it to be. If it's
Yeah.
pretentious to you, that's fine. Let
Yeah.
it be that. If it's not, if it's
Yeah.
something more, that's fine. Maybe that's a little bit more of what
Yeah.
I was going for. I made this for my reasons, and now it's
I
yours to do
think
whatever you will
I
with.
think Terry definitely knows like about his all his films are. I mean, I think it would be a I don't think it would be a good thing if he came out with like did a commentary track, for example, for this, and was like, "Here's what I was thinking about with everything." Because
Sure, sure.
one of the things about this movie is that you can kind of relate it to a lot of things that are going on in your life and as for the viewer's life.
Sure.
And one of the things that I love about this movie and why it hit me so hard is how it captures um moments. It captures these little moments in life and these little uh memories and moments that's kind of what this movie is kind of based on. It's kind of these memories and these moments. It's kind of of Jack's life. If we're thinking that this is kind of told from Jack's perspective,
Yeah,
Jack's
right.
memory perspective.
Who's Jack
Um,
is the oldest son of the family? Is that
yeah,
correct? Yeah.
played by Sean Penn,
Yes.
as the older Jack.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and but like I think it would be kind of weird if Terrence Malick was like, yeah, this is like about me, like this is about my childhood, because I think it would kind of disconnect a little bit, where it's like then it would make it kind of weird because you're like, oh, is this about Terry's life? But it's like not about that. It's not about. He's not making it for. He's making it about life as an experience,
I
not
feel yes, I totally
his
I
own life.
100% I so agree with
It's
that.
not good that he. It's good that he wouldn't put focus on that.
I told yes, and
It
it's sort of
probably is. It had to be about kind of definitely some personal shit in this
well,
movie for sure.
I think all of that's true. I think it is about his life, and I think it's about our lives. It's about
Yeah,
humans' lives, and
yeah.
I think that this is one of the things that I sort of had to that didn't resonate with me of sort of about like the way that how it's taught in traditional education, where it's like you're told to deconstructing and analyze things to mean something,
Hmm.
and it really frustrates me when it's like it's saying that like the tree of life is about Terrence Malick's life. It's like, dude, the tree of
Yeah.
life's not about fucking anything. It's a series of
Yeah.
pictures that some
Yeah,
guy
yeah, yeah.
shot and put it on a screen and called it a movie. It doesn't
Right.
fucking mean anything. It doesn't do
Yeah.
it's nothing,
Yeah.
right? So when people say it means this, it's just like, dude, it doesn't mean that. So like
Well,
I get
it means what it means to you.
yeah.
It means that to you. You
And I
know.
think I'm not saying that you can't identify objective themes and qualities that you can talk about, but there's a
Yeah.
really specific line of film
Yes.
criticism
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
people are going into this pretentious land
Yeah.
of like describing like what it means and what you're supposed to get from it, like decoding it like the Bible and you're getting messages from God
Yeah. Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
like this is what my experience of life and this is
Yeah.
how I can apply it in real and valuable ways. And
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right that I think even if it would be valuable maybe to me or you personally to hear what Terrence would Malik would say during a commentary
Yeah.
track, I
Yeah.
think that it would tarnish the film. I think it
Yeah.
would make it worse.
Yeah.
So
For
I
sure.
appreciate that he didn't do it too. I'm with you
Yeah.
on that
Is there
100%.
even a commentary track on this movie? Let's see. Um, I don't think so. Oh, there's a documentary about the movie on here.
That would be cool. I would watch
Oh,
that.
well, it's not. Oh my god, that's so funny. It's a Exploring the Tree of Life, a 2011 documentary featuring collaborations between Myers and Malik. So Malik isn't even in the
Oh,
documentary. It's
that's
David
hilarious.
Fincher and Christopher Nolan just
Oh,
talking
cool.
about Terrence Malick.
See, that's cool. That's I'll take that. That's cool.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Is that a Criterion or is that
yeah,
a
that's
just
the
Blu-ray?
Criterion. Yeah,
Yeah, okay, cool.
that's
I
the
might have to pick
Criterion.
up the
There's the
Criterion.
director's cut of this movie on here, which I have
Wow.
not seen.
How
I
long
don't
is
know what
that?
that's like. I don't know. Probably a good
6
three,
hours.
three, yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that's good to get off right off the bat. That like, yeah, I think that you might find this movie pretentious.
Absolutely.
If it doesn't hit you in a certain way, or you don't kind of maybe, I don't know. I think, but I think it's important to know that I don't think that this falls in the category of a pretentious film. I think
I agree. I
it's
agree.
just, I don't think if you don't like it, I think you don't like it. I don't
I
think you can
think
call it pretentious.
I think the thing about it that you should know before you go into it is that this film tries to depart from basically all typical forms of film that we're really familiar
Yeah,
with, which
yeah,
I love that
yeah,
because I find that so expansive to my life, and
yeah,
it like I think
yeah,
it feels like magic to me. Like when
yeah,
I watch this film, it's the closest thing to experiencing the supernatural.
yeah,
When I
yeah,
watch a film and feel it like I
yeah.
did when I watched this.
Well,
But
yeah. I mean, I think like there's a certain that's what like kind of experimental film kind of does. Is like
yeah,
I mean, there's parts of this movie that just border on avant-garde. I mean, there's
yeah, yeah,
part of the stuff that
absolutely.
the fact that this is a major movie starring Brad Pitt and Jessica Chastain, and it was in theaters, and like some people were like, Brad Pitt's in this, and walked in and got a 10 to 15 minute sequence of the world being created, and you know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
pretty impressive, like a pretty amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
this film definitely does feel like something that you would have to dig up out of the like
yes,
garbage bin of all the other weird avant-garde
yes,
stuff that you only really
100%.
hear through, but it has that circulation that's really surprising
Yeah,
that
it's
you
really
have
weird.
no business having this kind of attention
Mm-mm.
put on you like it has.
Mm-mm.
It's very
I
interesting.
love the idea of thinking about, oh, Brad Pitt's in this Troy. It's just, oh my, what's going on?
Yeah.
Where'd Brad
Yeah.
Pitt go?
Yeah.
Dinosaurs.
Oh my
Um,
God.
but I don't even know where to like begin.
Well, do you
But
want to just start like tackling sort of the nitty-gritty of dissecting scenes and talking about like
yeah, I mean, I can
experiences?
talk about specific scenes and kind of the structure of the movie, like
Yeah.
on a macro level. Because I mean, there's a lot of shit going on in this movie, a lot.
I kind of have an introductory thought. Well, I have a quote from myself and then a thought about this
A
movie,
quote.
which
I don't think anybody in the world has ever said that. A
yeah,
quote from myself.
a quote from myself. But this is
You
my
haven't said it yet, though, so it's not a quote.
That's a good point. That's a good point. This is a written phrase that
Oh, gotcha.
I have
There you go.
written, and I will thou speak it for the first time. And this is the one note I took
I
while
didn't take any
watching.
notes.
This
And
is the
I was like,
only one and all. It's all black. Besides this, this is the
yeah,
only note. And the
uh
one
huh,
note I wrote, "Tree of Life. I feel like my life is a simulation," and that's all I wrote.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and one of the
Pretty funny.
things, so talking about sort of an introductory idea to this
Mm-hmm.
conversation is how it fascinated me how this man Malik was able to create a movie that's essentially a 3-hour montage,
Yes,
and
and
it's
yeah,
interesting.
it's definitely a 3 hour montage. I think to a point. I think like the last 45 minutes of this movie is kind of a narrative. I mean, there's a point where like the first like hour is total like just
Sure.
montage, and then kind of towards like kind of the kind of last third of the movie, we kind of get more like scenes,
Well, like
you know.
what I feel like is, I know I totally agree with what you're saying too, but I should
That's
also
one of the most interesting things about this movie to me,
right.
is
I feel
how
like
it's structured.
I feel, in my opinion, despite its experimental structure, its montage-esque structure,
Yes,
I
yeah,
still
yeah,
think this is a narrative film. I
yeah. It
think it's
is. Yeah,
about a
yeah, yeah,
narrative
yeah,
that like strings on all the way through.
yeah,
You're right though. There like up until the last 45 minutes, it's really more strung along those lines of, which I really like it because it's like a narrative that's dissected into the purest, most important moments, like you were saying,
yeah.
and it's
Exactly.
just like
Yeah,
everything else is stripped away. You don't have any of like, and it's just, even like, I love how he uses dialogue where
yeah,
it's like if he cut out all the dialogue in any Hollywood movie and only had the lines that were like if in Endgame or something or in Infinity War there was no lines except for the dialogue between Thanos and Gamora when he's talking to her as a kid, and the rest of it was silence. It felt like that.
I know there's a subset on a subculture on YouTube, I believe, of people who edit movies like Malik trailers, like they
Yeah.
they like re-edit movies to make it look like a Malik film, and they kind of do that, or it's funny. That's a niche thing on YouTube. But
I'm curious. Are they effective? Like, not.
I mean, they're funny. They're like making fun of kind of his style. They're like poking fun at like kind of whispery nature in his movies and.
Because I'd be curious because I know a lot of the way he constructs this. Like, I kind of believe. I don't remember who said this. I wish I did. It was some musician, but I think it might have been James Blake and JPEG Mafia on like his Disappointed series. But he said that if you give, now I feel like it didn't say that. Anyways, someone said this. I'm sorry I can't quote you, but they said like you give anybody anything and they can like a sample, a piece of music, and you can flip it into an incredible song. Like you can change it into a credible song. I kind of feel that. I believe that very strongly. And so the reason this intrigues me is because the way that Terrance Malik constructed the Tree of Life was heavily through the editing process, which I find really interesting. So the idea of taking other films and making it more like Malik is just like, whoa, dude, could we take any movie? I kind of believe that you could take any movie, and if you work with the editing enough, you could create it into as dramatic experience as the Tree of Life.
Probably could. Yeah, you probably
I believe that.
Yeah, you probably could.
I think that's so cool.
Yeah, totally cool. And I guess like I kind of wanted to mention like how like this movie kind of like the basic structure of it, where like the opening scene is basically we learn that one of the kids dies, and kind of the catalyst of kind of like this kind of turmoil that's going on in the family, and then we kind of get all these kind of moments of grief and stuff like that. And then we go flash forward to Jack, and then he starts remembering about his childhood, and that's kind of the basis of the movie. And when he starts remembering about the childhood, we start to see what is the point, and I can't remember, what is the point when we get into the creation stuff? Is it?
I think the moment that we transition into that is when Sean Penn's sitting at his office in a big high-rise building, and he's reflecting on it's because the movie it goes out of sequence where we get the notes that his brother died, out of sequence, and then it goes to his life, and then it sort of starts over before the brother died. So we kind of after his death, which I keep wanting to think is a suicide, but there's no evidence of that whatsoever. And it's like I think it's him, Sean Penn's sitting at a desk reflecting, and he's thinking about like his birth, which takes him back, which people kind of do this. You think about like you get in like these existential moment, and then you go back. It's like, well, how did my life start? Well, how did the world start? And then he sort of goes through all the way to the world back into his childhood.
Yes. Exactly. Right. And that part is so crazy because it's basically, it's very, very philosophical question where it's basically could be boiled down to almost we're all connected. This is all the world, humans. We are all one organism. This is all one thing. And the dinosaur stuff, while it's kind of could be kind of chalked up to maybe like a meme about this movie or just dinosaurs appearing to it, but it's so emotional and so like well done and well shot, and like the dinosaur stuff is so weird because it's kind of like illustrating that I don't know, like even the dinosaurs kind of have these kind of like it parallels like the dad, like the abusive dad in a weird way because there's that
Yeah,
one strange
absolutely.
moment where the dinosaur is on the beach and the other dinosaur steps on his head and then just like kind of walks away. And like I don't know, there's something like there's a weird connection to kind of what was going on there and kind of he was almost illustrating that the earliest creatures on our planet were kind of mirrored human emotions in a weird way. That's
Yeah.
how I kind of got that, just through that one scene. But
Well,
like,
yeah. I mean, I
I
think
don't
that
know, man.
I think that that moment with the dinosaurs is a strong reason why someone might label it as pretentious.
Sure,
That's like
because the
you
idea of like somebody being like, "Oh, I'm gonna put this dinosaur scene in here," you
sure,
know?
but I think that it's you're right. There's a significance to what he's showing us
Yeah.
to the whole themes of the movie because you think about the two moments we see, which are very small and strange moments that he decided to depict.
Uh huh.
The first one, which I thought was really powerful, was the shot of that giant Loch Ness sea creature
Oh my
beach,
gosh. Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
turns around and it looks at a wound on its back,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I found to be such an incredible
Yeah.
idea of a
Yeah.
prehistoric creature looking at a wound that's probably going to end its life. And it's
Yeah.
like, and you look at that in that movie, it's just like, what is that dinosaur thinking? And it's like,
Yeah.
man, that is something I have never thought before
Right.
in my life. And
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
well, that's
Yeah.
an incredible thing right there.
Right.
And I don't necessarily and the thing to me is that just because of that and the way it sort of connects with the feeling and that introspectiveness of looking at the humanity and purpose and life of every living thing, it doesn't like matter like what it
Yeah.
means to the rest of the film. And the same thing to that moment when that dinosaur, that moment of compassion that led on. What I love so much about these things is that it's like I don't necessarily know why. I don't necessarily know what it
Yeah.
means, but I know it's supposed to be there. I really
Right.
like that. I
Yeah.
love that. And I think that and it's sort of that that's sort of like the magic feeling that I felt like he was able to achieve a couple of times where it's just like I can't describe this with
Mm-hmm.
logic, but I know it's
Yeah.
supposed to be like this.
Yeah.
I
Right.
love that.
Yeah. It's dope. It's really, really cool. It's just like, yeah. You're right. You are right. I think like trying to kind of dissect kind of each thing and like what it really means in the grand scheme of things. It's kind of like it's more about kind of the feeling that it gives you and kind of like I said, it's kind of it's a mood kind of a mood piece. It's kind of a
Yeah.
poem. And poems like when you read a poem, you're like you don't go, why does he use this word? It just
Sure, sure.
feel something. You know, I was
Yeah.
talking with our friends about poems the other day, weirdly. And like poems are weird, right? Because you sometimes when you read a really good poem, you're like, it just makes you feel a certain way, and you don't really know why. And it's just like
Yeah.
the way that the English language is kind of used, but it's also this and how what Terrance shows you, not necessarily like kind of in a traditional film where the drama, the tension, the narrative, which is all amazing and great, you know,
Yeah.
but this is more like here's this scene and what does this make you feel like?
Yeah.
What does this make you feel like? Oh,
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and not to say that this whole movie's like that, because I think like towards the kind of the last third of the movie, where it definitely gets more into the nitty gritty of Jack and the tension between Jack and his father, which is absolutely incredible. The tension that happens between those two characters and kind of seeing Jack kind of uh, turn against his father and watching him uh, go for that. And what I love about that whole dynamic too is that Brad Pitt's character, who plays the Jack Dad in this movie, uh, is not you feel sympathy for him as well. He doesn't
Yeah. Yeah.
Malik really doesn't because if there was a villain in this movie, that would be kind of weirdly ironic, right? It would be kind of this movie about like, oh, you know, everybody kind of goes through the same life, right? And goes through, and if you have like a villain that the audience is supposed to like hate, it's kind of like I don't know,
Sure.
kind of
Sure. Sure.
doesn't really feel. It just feel I don't know why it just feels like that would be weird to me. Um, so it's important to really get to know uh,
Yeah. Well,
Brad
well,
Pitt's character.
I think the other thing, kind of like talking about like the weirdness, is because he, even though he's very, um, it cracks me up that the criticisms of this movie is that there's not enough character development. It's like, dude, how dense do you
This
have
whole
to
movie
be?
is character development.
Which, and it's like, I know what you're saying, but what you're saying is because you're like, it's not character development like a
In a
Hollywood
traditional
movie
way.
like Jaws.
There's no arc, you
Yeah,
know.
and it's like, that's like comparing,
There's
that's
no
like
well, there's no obvious arc. There
yeah.
definitely is like an arc, like a
But it cracks me up because keep people like say that, and what I hear is that saying, it's like, you have been served like chocolate, and you're
yeah.
upset because it's like, this chocolate is not fish, and therefore it's bad. It's like, dude, that's chocolate. Why are you talking about it like it's a fish? Are you stupid?
What
But
is an analogy?
that might be my smartest analogy I have ever
yeah,
made in my life.
pretty good.
But
Yeah,
the point I wanted to make is that I think this idea of the interestingness of Jack's dad, and about him being like this antagonist or villain, but
yeah,
it's complicated, is because he's this full character.
yeah,
He's this
exactly. Yeah,
character
right.
that's
Yeah.
that's everything's through shades of gray,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all about, um I mean, a big theme in this movie, I think, is that with growing up is your change in perception, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
with every
yeah.
age and every moment, and especially when you're a kid and you're changing so dramatically, it's like the world is changing every hour. Like, your
Uh-huh,
whole world and your whole perception is changing so dramatically.
uh-huh.
So you get these, yeah. So it's just the shading of this character who, it's not. You're right. It's kind of funny because it's like, yeah, I would, you label him as the antagonist, but it just
Yeah.
doesn't quite feel right.
Well, I mean, because I mean, he's a real person. You really go
Yeah,
because you understand like kind of like how he like there's that great scene where he's playing the organ and he's kind of
yeah,
saying like I wanted to be a musician, but I don't be like me. I don't have the ambition in life. I never really went through. He what's interesting about the character. He's very he's a very aggressive dad, but you can sense that he's really trying to be a good father to these kids,
yeah,
and it's just such a great, um, you know, well-rounded character, like you said, because not everyone is perfect. Not everybody has these like good, evil sides. Like he
yes.
had some bad sides, but he also had some some good sides in him, and it was like the way that Malik portrays that in this movie is so kind of unorthodox. And if you're not paying attention to almost every moment, you might miss that. You might
Yes.
completely kind of miss this like whole kind of side of this character. Um, and Jessica Chastain's character too, the mother is uh really interesting too because she of the family is kind of like plays the kind of like the tension between the Brad Pitt and Jessica Chastain is interesting too because we're seeing it through the Jack's perspective, so you can kind
Hmm.
of see that there's definitely some struggles going on there too, and kind of to see is kind of more protective of the kids and kind of is trying to have fun with them, but the dad's trying to be more like you know hardened, you know, because I don't. What is this movie set? Like it's definitely like
I read it was in the 1950s, but I could
yeah,
never
I
tell
would
you
say
that
like the
myself.
50s. Yeah, I was gonna say like the 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
Um, but like yeah, he's a 60s dad. You know, he's kind of the prototypical 60s dad. It's just kind of that relationship, and it's just portrayed in such a raw, real way. That's like some people like just miss that because there's no like kind of there's definitely some moments where you're like, oh wow, like that was a scene. Like when, you know, Brad Pitt and Jessica Chastain is basically like, you're taking my kids away from me, you know,
Yeah,
and
right.
moments like that where you're like, fuck, like that's just hits you like the drama is just palpable. But it's not portrayed in this like it's like this moment. It's just so many moments that are just flying at you from here and there and there tied in with this really weird abstract fucking movie that's going on.
Yeah.
Like,
I think yeah, it's hard because you can't really you can't dissect and watch this movie like you normally would, where you're supposed to watch a scene and follow it and get something from it, you
yeah,
know? Like
yeah.
everything's it's like
You
additive
kind
to
of have to
something
see the
you're
whole
supposed to
thing
get.
and then be like, okay, maybe I can talk about
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah, you're right, and
yeah,
it's something where it's important to get that big picture, but you also have to be important. It's also important, like how you're saying, to be paying attention to every single moment along the way.
right.
So it's this simultaneous balancing of the micro and macro, as
Yeah,
opposed, and I feel like one of these qualities about this film is that so our typical Hollywood film or typical structure for film, how most films are made, you're constantly in that present moment and you're only supposed to be watching it for that present moment. But I
hmm
feel like in this film it's more like a like time bending and you're supposed to be watching
yeah,
it for all the moments you're seeing now and relating it to all the moments you have seen
yeah,
and sort of like just let them all
yeah,
sort of fall together into each
yeah,
other, which is
yeah.
a really weird way to sort of
Yes,
hold a movie in your mind.
yeah. It's very bizarre, and the
Yeah,
fact that it works is fucking astounding.
it's astounding.
Because
Yeah, it really is.
there are, I mean, there's not a lot of movies like this, but it's very hard to do a movie like this.
Yeah.
And another theme that I guess we haven't really touched on is how this film deals with religion, which is kind of a big thing, kind of a big major thing that's going on in this movie, and
Yeah.
kind of because the characters in this movie are very religious. And but there's an interesting thing about this movie where uh, there's a questioning of faith. Something that I got is that there, especially with Jack's character and especially with some other characters, that there's definitely a kind of a rejection of God or almost
Sure.
a
Absolutely.
questioning of God. Um, Jack's kind of like just let him go away, let him go away. Like why isn't he going away? Like he's trying to get rid of his dad, he's asking God for basically to get rid of him and kind of
Yeah.
help him out. Is just not helping, and he's kind of putting Jack more and more down into this kind of depressing hole as the movie kind of goes. And there's a lot of interesting kind of lines relating to that idea, because the, the, the connection to the the creation stuff is that like we see the Big Bang, you know,
Yeah.
we see like all of these, literally the world being created, and there's a lot of scenes where like God, you know, like people are like, oh, God's up there, you know, God's are in the cloud, like they're looking at God. There's
Yeah.
this
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
weird, kind of this
That's where
weird,
God lives. I love
yeah,
that line.
yeah, yeah.
That was powerful as fuck.
There's a weird, um, uh, kind of layer to this where almost like God is watching this whole movie in a weird
Yeah.
way. It's really, really bizarre. And the ending is super
Yeah.
faith based, right?
Right. Right. I think that this is kind of what you're talking about. To me, my experience is that this whole movie can be summed up as a question about like what's gonna happen when we die? That's what this whole movie's
Yeah,
about.
right. Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
what? And it's just like an incredible like poetry visual essay thinking
Yeah.
about like what is going to happen when I die.
Because the
And
ending you can interpret it as Jack's almost vision of heaven in a way.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Or like the stages, it could be like heaven, like that's the place where you go when you die, or that's what happens when you die and then you go
Mm-hmm.
somewhere else.
Yeah, right.
Or like yeah, I think that the ending is obviously something that was it was like a huge moment in the movie. There's
Yeah.
a lot of moments that the family stuff is sort of sprinkled in there as the meat of the movie, and we get
Mm-hmm.
that dinosaur sequence that's like fucking what, and then like
Really
the ending
wild.
like fucking what.
Yeah. The
And those
ending is so abstract. It
yeah,
is like all over the place and like it's very strange.
what I love about the ending is how it with very simple imagery it was able to bring on this uh science fiction kind of feeling. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's just done through like a pure force of will, it almost feels like, through just this bizarre like some of the ending was like a little bit of like I wish that you didn't cut to all these people so many times. I think I kind of get the idea,
Yeah,
but like that doesn't
I
like
agree.
that's like the only moment in the film that I felt that way actually.
Yeah,
But
there's like the only thing I have with this problem with this movie is like I kind of think the ending's kind of corny. Like there's
sure.
like some like parts where it's like a little much for me, where it's just like really hammering that on the head, you know, at
Yeah.
the end. Just there like the choir, the music of those movies
Oh
really
yeah,
cool by the
that's
way.
the I think that the film is almost like driven by the music more
Yeah,
than
it's
anything,
really
I
really
think.
great, really beautiful. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think I still kind of am perplexed by the ending. I don't really know how to make of the ending, but
Sure, sure.
it makes me feel things, weird things. I don't know how to kind of cobble them together and kind of have an opinion about it, but it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Um, but man,
Yeah.
man,
I I think that I think I don't know if that ending, because I agree with you, and it's interesting to me that that's part of like the point that we both pick up on. It makes me think that it is sort of like maybe possibly an actual weakness of the film.
yeah, maybe
Um
that it just doesn't
but
end
yeah,
as strong as it maybe could have, but
I just feel like that ending. I think that I mean I think the ending's incredible. I love the ending. I
mhm.
think that and I don't know if it's just from fatigue of watching it for
It
3 hours that it's
It could
along
be
the
that.
line where it's just like I just wish that you would wrap this up a little bit more quickly.
Yeah,
There's just specifically a point when there was all the people on the beach and we just cut to just a couple too many people. There was just a few too
yeah,
many people that we cut to. And
yeah,
it's like I just wish that there was 7 less shots
yeah,
and that would have felt so incredibly like they would I would love to see it because I'm sure he did that cut and he said nah.
yeah,
I'm sure he did it. So I would love to see that cut and see why he said nah.
right.
But
Nah.
but
Terry was in the editing room and he went, nah.
yeah,
Nah, cut that out, bro. Nah.
what I love about like that film, the ending is sort of like this sequencing of I like a lot of movies that use shots that like eyeline matches that disrupt where they are in the physical
Yeah,
like in the
yeah,
physical
yeah, yeah,
world.
yeah.
And that ending was like there's a shot of like this building and like this shot of this guy and a kid in a barn like going
Yeah.
around on a tricycle and doing all of that stuff. And it's sort of like the who's the guy who made Battleship Potemkin? uh
Fun.
Eisenstein. I feel
Yeah.
like that I would describe Malik in this film is like an effective use of what Eisenstein was theorizing.
The montage.
The montage. It's like this is like a perfection of that idea. And I think that ending is sort of a really extreme example of like really pushing that to the limits to say, and it really made it feel like it departed from that world that we were in throughout the most of the movie, and we like ascended somewhere else. That's where I thought was really effective about that movie, is like the transcendent sort of feeling that I got from that.
I think that's probably the feeling that he was really going for.
Yeah.
Because I felt that way too.
Yeah.
What else can we talk about, guy?
Yeah. I was just really just talking about that dinosaur scene in that sequence a little bit more. Oh, and also like the moment sort of going on the idea where you said where it's like God was watching this whole movie with us, was that flickering fiery light that sort of intercut throughout it. That was like, it was like a moment of the film sort of feels like this biblical tale, like a tale of like God talking to Jesus, and you're seeing all these trials where like Jesus asked a question about, I can't believe I'm talking about this right now. I've never read the Bible, by the way, so this is completely out of my ass. Like Jesus asked God a question. Maybe I shouldn't say Jesus. Maybe I should say someone like
guy.
Like, yeah, fucking, let's call him Herb. We'll use Herb. Herb asks God, like, what is the purpose of life? And God, this glowy little thing, plays that little soundbite and shows that movie and says, "Do you understand now?" That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But like, I totally agree with you, and I think I think it's, you could either watch this and go, wow, that is the meaning of life, or that ain't the meaning of life. That's not my life. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And for me, this movie captures like a lot of the life's beauties, uh, maybe small beauties, especially in growing up when you're a child. This movie really has this incredible eye for childhood innocence and wonder about the world. There's so many amazing, just little moments and shots that I just absolutely love. Like there's this whole moment in the movie where like you see this toddler, the baby Jack, feel water for the first time. Watching that is just it's so beautiful.
Which speaking quickly on that moment, there's a couple of moments on here where like there was scenes with like with a butterfly where it just landed on that person, and it's like, did they have a butterfly handler on set to do that?
That's really funny. I know that about this. Hold on, let me do this. Hold on, let my dog out.
Yeah. I'm gonna ramble a little bit and maybe we'll cut this out, but what I thought was really interesting was sort of just how he's catch these moments of serendipity.
Well, yeah, I have some trivia about that.
Yeah.
So, that was unplanned.
Oh, that's awesome. So it was literally serendipitous.
So basically they were rehearsing just to test it and Terrance Malik, and they're out, and I think Emmanuel was just kind of filming. She had that butterfly landed like perfectly on her head. Yeah, so
that's
amazing. That was just out of the wind.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Which is kind of,
which makes me think then that other moments that I was going to mention too, which were like when that baby, like Jack as a toddler, was acting. It was like there's no way that toddler had any capacity to take any kind of direction, which means that they sat around that toddler 5 hours that day,
probably,
just to get that experience.
I couldn't stop thinking about that too. I'm like, man, how long does this movie take to shoot? Because there's so many long sequences. There's so much footage in this movie,
Yeah.
and knowing that there's a director's cut, so I wonder how much footage they actually had in this movie.
You know what else? You know what else it makes me think about is how this concept of fiction versus documentary is not
Yeah,
really that far apart,
no,
and like how
no,
you would like
no,
assemble things. And I
no.
think that that's a really
Now it's definitely. I mean, with this film and his films that he's been making are kind of towing that line where it's like
yeah,
there might be moments in here that are totally improvised. There
yeah,
probably are. Most likely, a lot of them are.
yeah,
I bet like there are definitely some little moments like that, like the water stuff, and like well, that were just improvised. Where
yeah,
Terrance is like, playing with this toddler,
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah,
filming,
yeah,
and by the way, the performances in this movie are excellent. I
yeah.
think they are tremendous.
Yes.
They're so good.
Unbelievable,
Brad Pitt is
really.
fantastic in this movie.
Brad Pitt's such a
Everybody's
great
great.
actor.
He
I love
really
Brad
is.
Pitt.
Brad Pitt, when he really, yes, Brad Pitt is this giant movie star, but when he really wants to act and be in a character, he's incredible. He kind of disappears as his character. He
Yeah.
disappears.
I just had a really, this is such a stoner thought, but I felt like the way that these people were acting and kind of how you feel when you watch these art films, films is that instead of it being like acting in terms of the word and action, it's acting with energy.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's a hard, it's kind of a woohoo thing to describe, but that's sort of what it felt like, is that they were channeling
Well, it's very
acting with
expressive.
energy. Yeah,
Yeah, very, very expressive acting. It's very,
yeah,
like, very subtle acting. And to me, like, something that actors have always said is, like, the hardest acting to do is when you don't say anything. When you
right,
really just
right,
have your eyes and your face and your body to insinuate an emotion.
yeah,
That's true acting,
yeah, right, right,
And I mean, that's what this whole movie is. It's really incredible. Really, really great.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, there's also a lot of like, like weirdly tense moments in this movie. Like, there's this
mm-hmm,
scene where Jack is with his little brother, where he's kind of getting him to trust him. He's like, put your finger in this lamp, put your finger on this BB gun, and like all this stuff. And there's really good, like, kind of, yeah, tense moments like that that are
or
kind of,
like or like
interesting.
the moment where he breaks into their neighbor's house and steals like
Yes,
lingerie.
yes, yeah.
It's like
And
this
then
is such a strange, intense
yeah,
scene.
he lets it go in the river.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think this movie captures, especially as a young man,
yeah,
growing up as a rambunctious boy, it really captures that really well. I watching that, I remember like I would hang out with these kids when I was like, we break shit all the time. You know, we
yeah,
you know, and it's just it reminds me of so much like childhood memories and but the good ones, some and it's interesting. I get a weird nostalgic feeling when I watch this movie as well because it really brings you back to a child,
yeah. It feels like time traveling. It
Yeah,
really does.
yeah.
And even though it is the 1950s, it still feels like it mirrors yourself.
hmm Yeah,
Like
and I
even
think
if
that
that even
such a major point, like such a important thing because
yeah,
that's I think that's one for me. That's one of the main points of this movie is that we're all the same. We're
yeah,
all we're all the same. We're all human. We
yeah,
all come from the same place. Um, and it's that's such a big idea that is portrayed so specifically that it's really really astounding that he was even able to kind of that I got that from this movie.
Right. That's the thing. That's exactly what I was about to say, which
Yeah.
is just what is so mystifying is how he was able to communicate all this without really telling you anything throughout this
Yeah,
movie.
exactly. Yeah.
Which
Right.
I find that so impressive about this film, more like compared to a lot of art films on its echelon, which maybe like I think Kubrick and Tarkovsky were able to communicate this kind of abstract with this abstractness
Yeah,
and
2001 is,
communicate this,
mind-boggling as fuck. When we
and
first
also
watched that.
popular and also
Yeah, very.
popular
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I think that it's just really impressive. It's just really impressive,
yeah.
and you can tell how much work and how hard it would be to try to do something like this. And
Yeah,
no,
it took like a minute.
yeah, and no
Took
one,
like a
no one,
minute.
no one was asking him to do this too.
No,
That's the other
no,
thing that's
yeah,
wild
no,
about it, is that like
no,
that's what I find so cool about humans, is that it's like, no, you didn't have to do that.
yeah.
You really did not have to do that at all.
It's interesting to think about a personality that's like compelled to make this,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Pretty,
totally.
to me, it's far from pretentious. It's brave as fuck to be
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna make a movie about the meaning of life.
yeah,
It's like, when you first hear that, you're like, all right, Carrie, go ahead.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
make a movie about the
The
meaning
meaning
of
of life. Yeah. I think
life.
the thing that's along the thing that walks the line of pretension is that do you have the mindset that you can tell the story, the meaning of life, because you know the meaning of life?
Exactly.
But it's like what Malik does is that he wants to tell the meaning of, talk about this, that discusses the meaning of life, because it looks like it's something that was always inside of him and he just needed to get it out
And
in his
also, I think
experience.
this movie is portrayed like a visual poem, so it's not like he's spouting
Yeah,
like
yeah.
all these kind of like phrases at
It's
us
it's
that
not
are
it's
like,
not it's not philosophical propagandic
yeah. I
jargon
mean,
that's
he is
like,
a philosopher.
yeah,
That is something to keep in mind when you watch this.
yeah.
This man is a philosopher on
But the
top
difference,
of,
and the difference between it that I think he does a great job at is that like a lot of philosophers are very pretentious. They have incredible ideas, and
sure,
I
yeah,
love reading
yeah,
their writings, but
yeah.
they're very pretentious people.
And
Um,
that's part
but
of their nature because they're like, I know how the world works. Yeah,
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 but you see this again and again, that the people who are the best of the best in their fields, philosophers included, are the people who are humble as shit.
yeah, of course,
And
of
I don't
course.
know. I don't know if Malik is. I don't know. It doesn't matter how
Who knows?
humble
Yeah,
or like
who
he
knows?
is.
We wouldn't know.
He's a person as flawed or as wonderful as he is. He was able to
Yeah,
create this, and
yeah,
that's a great thing. That no
yeah.
matter what, if he's pretentious, if he's an asshole, if he's like a criminal, whoever he is,
Criminal.
he made the tree of life, and
Yeah,
that's
it's
awesome.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
so like there's a lot of crazy assholes that have made incredible movies.
yeah,
You know, so
yeah,
happens, but I don't
yeah.
think Terry's one.
So I guess maybe to wrap this conversation up real quick, I was just really curious. I've seen parts of Badlands, and Badlands, I can see it's the same director, but it's a very different film.
Very different film. Yeah.
Is the Tree of Life, to me? I watched this film, and it's like this is a movie that can only be like, a director can only make a movie like this once, and it's like, does he make films like this every time? Are every single one
Um.
different? Are they just sort of some that
So
are in this genre? You kind of talked about this a little bit when you're
so
introducing, but
Badlands goes ahead. Okay, so goes ahead is kind of this his first foray into this like kind of poetic filmmaking. It's
yeah,
not like this. Not it's much smaller scale.
yeah,
Um, but the Thin Red Line is the closest to this movie.
okay,
I would say stylistically. Other than like he tried to replicate kind of the idea of this movie of Nine of Cups and Song to Song, like the style of it, kind of the montage nature of it.
but the way you're phrasing it makes it sound like it never quite reached what this was able to
No, no, no,
reach.
no, 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 no,
Yeah,
no, no. Because the thing is, like this. I feel like that he went in with a purpose of what this movie was gonna be. He was like, "This is gonna be," he prepared for this for fucking decades.
Yes.
Like this is what this movie's gonna be, and I know beat for beat the way that this film is gonna go. Not a cuts, like I was saying, song,
Much more random.
experimental film for him because it was like, let's just get a bunch of talented actors and kind of talk about what their characters are and kind of just play these scenes out and just kind of film it, kind of like a documentary, like a fake
Yeah.
documentary.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's interesting. I wouldn't say like not to watch them if you're like really interested in his films. Like I suggest watching them because you might get something out of them.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would say that The Thin Red Line is definitely the closest to this movie that he's gotten because that film is very much about it's very much about humanity, kind of through the lens of war, and uh, and how he kind of the funny thing about that movie when that movie came out is it has a ridiculous cast. It has like George Clooney, um,
Wow. Yeah.
Jim
Already impressed.
Caviezel, uh, I mean it's ridiculous. Adrian Brody, all these
Oh, I love
crazy,
Adrian
crazy,
Brody.
crazy, crazy cast. Like it's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and it was marketed like Jim Caviezel was the star, and he's in the movie for 15 minutes.
Hmm.
And and so what it is there are so many different characters, and he basically jumps from character to character to character. And what he did was he shot tons and tons of footage for Thin Red Line, probably like this movie, and made it in the editing. This film came
Yeah.
together in the editing.
Yeah.
And Jim Caviezel, I saw this funny ass. It was either him or somebody else who thought that they were in the movie way more because they shot it for like
So
months.
long.
Yeah. And so he goes to the premiere and he's in it for like 15 minutes.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
So,
That's
and this
hilarious.
guy wasn't upset about it because he was like, it was an incredible film. But like, it was like kind of like shocking to him because it was like, man, we saw all this. Like, that's just kind of how he makes movies. He
Yeah.
kind of shoots all this footage and he kind of makes it into um, a kind of collage, like a montage.
Yeah.
But I completely forgot about his most forgettable movie that made after this called To the Wonder. I completely forgot that was even a movie because I completely forgot about it.
Hmm.
This whole
Not
podcast.
a good sign. Not a good sign at
So that
all.
one he made after, and that one was just really boring.
Yeah.
He tried to make like a kind of marital. I think that's like a movie where I watched it. I was like, I don't even know what this is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you thought this was like not a lot of dialogue and kind of like you didn't really know what was really going on.
Yeah.
So the Wonder is gonna make no sense to you. Like
Yeah.
it really didn't make any sense to me. Ben Affleck and Rachel McAdams were in it. Anyway,
Yeah.
so but A Hidden Life kind of carries this kind of cinematography aspect to it, but it's a romance story
Sure.
told in World War II, and it's totally more of a narrative experience. Definitely more like there's way less kind of these detours, these abstract kind of detours that
And
this
you're sticking
movie
with something.
has. It's sticking with something, kind of like his earlier films like Badlands.
Yeah.
Um,
That's really interesting.
but yeah, he's a fascinating filmmaker, and
Yeah.
it's interesting to me that because he literally made two films in the '70s, one film in the '90s, two films in the 2000s. Now he's made a movie like every year, like every
Yeah.
2 years or something.
Yeah. He seems like he's really ramping up to
Yeah,
be
he's
quite
ramping it up,
prolific.
and like it's interesting because it's. I was reading an article that was like what like it was something about like should Terry stop making things because because this guy is arguing that it kind of like tarnishes his legacy a little bit because
Sure.
he's made these like incredible films. Like boom, like when he comes out the movie, it's like whoa, like that,
Yeah.
that like this giant, like fucking crazy experience that you're watching a new Malik movie. But now it's like a new Malik movie's like, eh,
Yeah.
really else
Right.
is it, for the art community.
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
But anyway, but
Kind
yeah,
of
man,
interesting.
yeah, he's fucking fascinating. But I mean, if you like this movie, watch Badlands, watch Days of Heaven. Those two movies are so incredible. And the Thin Red Line is fucking phenomenal too. All his films are interesting in one way or another. They
Yeah.
are they're something totally unique. No one is like this man. Like
Yeah.
not a
Yeah.
lot of people that are willing to make movies like this. And it's
Yeah.
very interesting to watch. Um, so I'm glad that we watched this.
Yeah. Me too,
I'm
man. It
glad
was a
that we
blast.
had this conversation. It was an interesting one. This
I,
was an interesting one. So,
I have a really tough question to ask you,
uh
Alex.
huh.
Did you like this film?
I did.
You know
I
what?
really do.
I think I liked it too.
Uh huh.
You know what
What's
that
that make
means?
it? What is it?
Oh,
It's it's
Vic,
thick
Vic
and
and
butter
butter
approved.
approved.
Dun, dun, dun. I wish I had a fucking sound bite, but it was just dun, 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 ah. I need a
Well,
sound bite. I
we
need
need
a
to make
stream
a
deck.
we need a little jingle. We need a little
Yeah,
jingle.
we do.
Actually, you can do that now. Now that you have that keyboard,
Oh
get
yeah,
that
I could like
like
program. Oh shit, yeah, I should look into that. If I have a
yeah.
little, I can do that.
I
That'll
bet
be
you would be
fun.
better at that than I would be. I've always avoided
I
it
feel
because
like you just press it a lot.
I don't think I would be very good at it. My time I would panic and do the wrong thing, you know? But
Nah,
um
but
uh I have a
yeah,
movie
man.
next week.
What's on the docket for next week?
So this whole idea talking about sort of editing art films and the idea of sort of creating a movie through the editing process, which I had an interesting thought about how it sort of sounds similar to the process of shooting a lot of coverage on a Hollywood set, but
Yeah.
the difference is that coverage is to make sure that the sequence that you have planned will definitely work, and this is
Mm-hmm.
like infinite experimentation to
Yeah.
just see where it's going to go.
Right.
So this is another film that is done through this is a film by Claire Denis, who is very
Okay.
famous
Yeah.
for creating her films through the editing. I want to watch High Life, which
Oh
is
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Never seen it. I'm excited. Okay.
sweet.
Yeah.
It's on Canopy. If people have access to that, you
I
can
think
get
it's
it.
also on Amazon Prime.
I think that's true. I think it
Yeah.
is on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So it's very accessible.
Along with Borat.
Yeah, so watch double feature of Borat and High Life. I saw
High five.
I saw I saw High Life earlier this year, and
Well,
I had you described the Tree of Life
I
as
never named your top 10 last.
yes, it
This
did.
year, yeah.
Yeah, and you described the Tree of Life as being a seismic shift kind of movie.
Yeah.
Um, High Life is in that range for me. You
Yeah.
know, it's in that range of just being like it's just a film like no other science fiction film I have seen quite like it. You can
Yeah.
compare it to other things. It reminds me like Malik. It's right. It's not something that's going to. It's right in your wheelhouse. You'll feel very
Yeah.
comfortable
I'm
in this
excited.
type of film.
Yeah. I've always
But
wanted to watch it.
it's another one of our boy Bob
Bob.
Patterson, who's our just is creating cranking out
Bob.
these amazing films. I won't
Come
really.
on the podcast, Bob.
I hey, come chat. How's the Batman? How's it going? You like it? Um, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Like, to watch High Life for next week. We'll break down what it's
Yeah,
about.
dude.
I'm really
Hell
excited
yeah.
to watch it again and talk to you about it.
Hell yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me
Thank you.
and Jesse on this wonderful podcast
Thank you.
in the evening,
Thank you.
or in the morning, or in the afternoon,
Whenever
or
you watch it,
in the early at 2 in the morning.
we fit in
Whenever
most
you're
time
listening to
slots.
this, we appreciate it. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on the Instagram, Twitter.
And Twitter now. We're posting on Twitter.
Yes. All right, everybody.
Tell your mom.
Bye. Tell your mom. Bye.
And dad. Bye.